So as Peter said, I'm Nicolas Pinçon, working at the Centre National de l'Audiovisuel in Luxembourg, and I'm going to present to you a project that's called Shared Authority File for Luxembourg's Scientific and Cultural Heritage. We call that LUDAP for short, and that's how I'm going to refer to the project later on. Okay, so a brief overview of the presentation. We're going to talk organization, so human resource-wise, how the whole project works. Then we're going to have a look at the tools that power the project that rely heavily on open source. We'll see about the features that are already in place and those that are being developed. And then we'll go over a few stats to give you an idea of the status of the project, more or less. And then a few questions if we have time. Okay, so organization-wise, since the project is interinstitutional, involving the whole 8 cultural institutions of Luxembourg, it's a challenge to organize the work of everyone, since we're not in the same organization. And so we needed an organizational structure. This structure has 4 committees, a coordination bureau with 3 persons, including 2 external contractors and a person in the employ of the Ministère de la Culture. So these guys, they coordinate the whole project, activities of the various committees. They ensure that information flows harmoniously between everyone that needs to work together. Then we have a governance board, which is the decision body of the project. So if we need to hire some expert for a specific issue, that has to be validated by this board. It includes 8 members from all 8 institutions, cultural institutions, so that everybody's represented. So yeah, these guys, they validate the yearly planning, stuff like that. Then we have the editorial committee with 9 members from all 8 institutions. And these are the guys that are in charge of the documentation of the project, that basically work on the data. So they organize work groups to work on the data, for merging data, maintaining the data model, these kind of things. They also work on including new features, new data sets to the project, things like that. And then we have the technical committee, which I am a member of, which has 7 members, including an external contractor that works for a local national IT company that helps us with the development of custom code. And so we at the technical committee are the advisory body for all technical concerns. So if any of the other committees need advice on a technical issue, they turn to us. We also have a ticketing system to solve issues that come up along the way. Each of these committees have sub-committees, working groups that work on dedicated specific issues. For example, us at the technical committee, we have a round-tripping working group that's dedicated to this specific issue. These subgroups, they can include people from other committees as well, so that information is easier, travels easier in the project. So for example, in the round-tripping committee, most of us are technical guys, but we also have 1 member from the governance board that can relay information to this other body, and also 2 people from the editorial committee, because we need their input on what they need the feature to be doing. So that's about it for the organization part. Let's have a look at the tools that power the project. So this is a little complicated for this schema, but we won't go too much in detail. Just see up top is the representation of the Wikibase instance. So that's our central repository, the central database. On the left-hand side, you have the other DBs. So that these are the collection management systems of the participating institutions. So basically, everybody in the institutions uses different data models, different formats. So in order to get a common ingestible file, we had to build custom code that extracts the code from the various DBs, be it XML, CSV, whatever they use, and this extractor builds the RDF file that is ingestible by the common DB. Then you have another piece of custom code that is in charge of ingesting the data. There's also a shape expression schema that controls that the data is actually compliant with the data model that we use, and then everything goes in. And the same integrator also allows us to get the data out, and ideally then we'd be able to reintegrate that data that comes from the central DB to the local systems. Because the whole added value of having a central database for us, it's that records that end up in the central DB are richer or higher quality than those that come from the individual systems. That's the whole advantage. In the end, what we hope to achieve is this round-tripping, data round-tripping I was talking about. So let's say that two institutions have each a record for the same person, and they don't have exactly the same information. As they end up in the central DB, they can be merged, and so one enriches the other, and each of the sending institution can then retrieve the record from the central DB and reintegrate it richer that it sent in the beginning. That's the whole idea behind the project. Also, we hope that this project helps to shine light on our collections in our alternate way, because everybody has an entry point to their collections individually, but this also helps give a central point of entry to collections for everybody. Okay, so that's it for the tools. So I won't go in detail on the tools that Wikibase uses, because most of you seems very familiar with this. We use BlazeGraph for the triple store, Elasticsearch that has already been mentioned in the other presentation, so I won't go in depth on this. So all of you guys know what Wikibase is. Okay, so features we have already in place. This is just a representation of the volume of the datasets that have been sent by the various institutions. So the ANLUX there on the right is the National Archive. This is here the National Library, and you have other institutions there. This represents the volume of data that each has sent. So you can see that it's pretty diverse. It's a collaborative project in which not everyone has the same quality of data, not everyone has the same volume of data, but everyone works together in order to try and make the whole group benefit. Okay, so already in place, we have authority data for persons, so names. We only cover that for now. We intend to include other datasets later on, but for now, we're mainly focused on a named authority list. We can create records in Wikibase directly, one by one, which is not very advantageous. But the tools I was talking about earlier, the custom code bit, allows us to send batches of records from our individual systems to the central DB. And we also use a feature of Wikibase that is called, we call it merge candidates. It's a feature that detects duplicates, so that's what I was talking about earlier. These two institutions sending sending different records for the same person, the system is able to detect that there are possible duplicates and they're flagged, and somebody has a look and decides whether or not to merge them. It could be an error also, people having the same name but actually different person. So this requires manual human intervention, but it's a very interesting feature because, as I said, that's where the added value is. So these are the features already in place. We intend to include collective agents, so corporate authors also called. That's an ongoing task in the project, so the editorial committee is working on this. We expect to start to see the first records by the end of the year, beginning of next year. After that, the editorial committee intends to work on places, also authority records for places for 2026. We also have in development a public interface that allows the wider public to access our records. This is currently being developed. And there is this round-tripping feature of which I've spoken already, and for which we're still looking for developers. So should anybody be interested, don't hesitate to contact me. This could help. And yeah, that's about it for the features. A few stats to give you an idea of where we are. So as I said, or maybe I don't remember, there are around 30 people from the eight cultural institutions that work on this project. So that's that can seem to be a lot of people, but you have to keep in mind that all of us have our daily tasks, and working on this is additional. So everybody has to find some time to put in some work on this. Add that to the fact that it's an interinstitutional project, so that has organizational challenges. It's kind of slow as a project. It progresses quite slowly. We have twice a year plenary meeting where everybody gets together, talks about what has been achieved, what we intend to do, maybe constitutes these committees to work on specific issues. So twice a year plenary meeting. Every committee has its own meetings, about which it reports on the project's wiki. The frequency of the meetings is variable. It depends on the availability of people and also the workload that we have to tackle. So approximately every 2 months, this committee meets and issue their minutes of meeting on the project's wiki, so that everybody can have a look and see where the others are. We have around 2,000 records already ingested, of which 300 have been merged. These merging operations, they take some time and they require some expertise. So it's not a lot of records, but as I said earlier, this is what's interesting in the project, being able to enrich records from various sources. So yeah, that's about it. Any questions about this? Yeah.
First and so, am I? Can you? Yep.
Thank you. Hi, I'm particularly interested in the checks validation process.
Yeah.
Because I found that to be quite challenging and like infrastructure like Wikibase not really supporting meaningful validation. So I wonder what kind of tool chain you have in place there. Do you validate the whole data set at once that is going to be ingested, or per item and so forth? So I would like just to know some details there.
So from what I experienced, you have validation steps at both this step here. So when the data is extracted from the local DBs, the file, the RDF file that is produced is validated for conformity with the data model. And then you also have another validation step before it is ingested. So it's validated twice, as far as I understand. But if you have more specific questions, don't hesitate to write me an email, because I'm not the very technical guy that writes all of the code and knows all the ins and outs. I've written some bit of Python for this, for my institutions, but I don't have necessarily a global, complete, comprehensive view. So don't hesitate to write me an email. My email is at the end of the presentation. Yeah.
Yes, we have a question from the online audience. The question is, what happens when this effort, when this effort after the project concludes? What happens?
When the project concludes?
Yeah, what happens?
Oh God, I don't know. As I said, this is a very, it's quite a big project for Luxembourg, and it's quite slow, so there is no end in sight for now. I couldn't tell you.
Yes, they go on to say, is there a way to ensure the continuity, or does it simply cease to exist?
You want to pitch in? Okay, sure. Yeah.
Hi, sorry, so I'm jumping in because I'm sponsoring the project. So, yeah, so this project started 6 years ago. It was a really desire from the 8 cultural heritage institutions to work together. It's a way for us to create upskilling and to create a project of value across all of the 8 cultural heritage institutions. So the continuity is truly based on a political motivation. So, you know, talking to your higher ups, in my case, as my chief of staff and my minister, to really raise awareness of it, and also talk to the directors of the different institutions to encourage them to allocate funding and resources to these projects. And also the motivating factor of the individual people working on such a project. So, so for the continuity, it is quite slow. But it's also, we faced GDPR issues, for example. So the scope was much larger. Now it's only dead people because we can't have alive people. It's a whole thing. And then, and so now we want to expand, as Nicolas said, to other data sets to kind of enrich it all. So I don't think there's ever gonna be an end. The biggest issue is to maintain momentum and not to stagnate. I think that's more of an issue that we could face, or are sometimes facing. We don't want the project just to drop from planet Earth, and it'll just keep going. And most importantly for us at the ministry is capacity building and skills development, truly, because this then has offshoots into other areas within the cultural heritage sector itself. I don't know if this answered the question, but.
So Alessandra is the member of the coordination bureau, one of these 3 people working in the coordination of the project.
Well then, thank you very much.